Yep, you're all
Okay,
going.
great. Okay, so this is a piece called The Law of Unwanted Attraction. Attracting a train at the moment. So there's something about me that draws people who want to talk to me. Call it the law of unwanted attraction. They can't wait to tell me their obsessions and grudges and insights. Whether I respond doesn't matter so much as that I hear them. They don't realize that even though I may look like a therapist, I'm not, but they see me that way. These encounters typically happen on public transit or in places where I can't easily get away. The topics range from scary to engaging. Usually I'll just listen because the world is full of lonely people, and if somebody wants to connect for 30 minutes on the train, I'm up for that. You never know where a talk will go or what somebody's needs are, including my own needs. But for ominous, nothing tops what once happened on Metro North. I was sitting in those facing seats with two women from Japan across from me with a lot of shopping bags. A man got on and offered to move the bags. They didn't understand, and he finally growled, "Fine, I'll go stand in the vestibule." But they made space and he sat down, knee to knee with me. He was in his late 40s, casually dressed, not carrying anything. He was unshaven and looked very tightly wound. Then he got started on Metro North. He said, "After the war, Germany and Japan got all the best technology, and here we are on Metro North using technology from the 1840s. I kept a neutral tone and said, well, the Germans and the Japanese had to pay a pretty high price to get that technology. He shot back that we could have new infrastructure if we hadn't spent $7 trillion in the Middle East. He was about to blow like Mount St. Helens. Then he grumbled about the 2008 recession. His house had tanked in value and hadn't come back. He said, nobody wants to move to Westchester County because the schools are becoming too diverse, although he used cruder language for that, to make that point. As a result, working stiffs like him need to send their kids to private schools. I really pulled back at this point, and he said in an aggrieved tone, well, I see you just want to read your book, which I did. He'd be quiet for a station or two, and then he'd start talking again. I didn't answer anything about who I was, where I lived, or what I did for a living. My great fear was that we'd both get off at the Katona station, and then our cars would be parked side by side, and he'd harangue me all the way to the parking lot. But he exited at White Plains, and I didn't have to call 911 on him. Then there was the time I was on a tour bus in Israel, going to Caesarea, again reading, when a man across the aisle asked me what time it was. I told him, pretty obvious conversational gambit on his part, and he was off and running. He was from Italy and had moved to Australia and was now visiting Israel. He was an evangelical Christian and started ranting about the sign of the beast and the apocalypse. It was the whole Book of Revelation spiel. Clearly, being in the Holy Land was letting the bats fly out of his belfry. Then he asked, so, sir, what religion are you? As if he couldn't tell. I wasn't going to go there. I told him, I don't want to talk about my religion, and I'm going to get back to reading my book. So that was that. Sometimes, however, a conversation catches my attention. I'm empathetic, and I think, let's see where this goes. Maybe we'll connect. You talk to me, and I'll talk to you. My favorites, that's always when men notice the camera I often carry with me, my trusty Sony Alpha 5000, and they ask me about it. Bingo. Because I love to talk about cameras and creativity, and that can go in all kinds of directions. So here's another example. Once at my gym, I noticed a man who was working out, a big guy, had a denim jacket on covered with motorcycle club patches. Later I saw him in the steam room after we had worked out, which is usually a place of total silence where men are involved. But then he started talking to me. It turns out he'd been a freelance reporter in the 80s and 90s in New York, when I was also a reporter for business magazines. And he told me about covering the Yankees and going up to Yankee Stadium and being in the press box. And the team always laid out a buffet for the reporters because, having been a reporter myself, I know we fall onto the food as soon as we can. Anyway, he told me that the beloved Yankee broadcaster Phil Rizzuto would come, be in the press box, and the guys would say, Phil, go to the head of the line. You don't have to wait. Just, you go. And I thought that was a really nice gesture on their part, very humanizing. But then Biker Boot Dude said to me, and I'm quoting him, there was this really creepy real estate guy, Trump, and he would come in and push everybody out of the way and go to the head of the line. He wanted to get the food without waiting, and this really bothered everybody. He was just a creepy, creepy, creepy guy. I did articles about him, and he never liked them. This all interested me, and I hoped we'd see each other again to talk shop about journalism and politics. I thought I'd maybe open up to him about the time I went to a Jews for Giuliani fundraiser in 2008, which had the best kosher sushi. Anyway, I was eager to learn more about his interactions with President Trump. I just hoped he wouldn't start talking about Trump and the apocalypse at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
It's funny, I have this